Hi everyone, thanks for joining us on News West 9. I'm Sanji Milburn. The November 4th election is coming up, and one of the items that will be on the ballot for voters in Andrews is the Emergency Service District proposition. Joining me now is Michael Moore, the man behind the petition. Michael, how are you doing today?
Good, thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you for coming. All right, you started the petition. Walk me through this, why?
The last 5 or 6 years over visiting with first responders, fire department, EMS, and law enforcement, became apparent everybody was talking about the need for an ESD. And what goes in behind that? Well, the reasons for needing an ESD in Andrews have to do with increased call volume and manpower.
Okay, so when did you decide to start the petition and what was the process? Can you elaborate a little bit more?
My wife Holly and I, we met with some local leaders and we did some research and we found out that ESD petitions are started more of among the citizens as a grassroots effort, you might say. And so we put the petition together and then we went around visiting with people in Andrews, and you have to have taxpayers who are also registered voters sign the petition. 100 signatures are required. We had over 200 that we turned into the County Commissioner's Court.
Wow, that's amazing. So from my understanding, EMS is funded by the hospital and the volunteer fire department is funded by the city and county. What's wrong with that? Why do you need an ESD?
There's nothing wrong with the way it's being funded right now, but having an ESD in place provides a maximum tax rate, number one, for emergency services for a community. Okay. Number two, it consolidates everything into one entity under one board, you might say. That's all they do is provide and oversee emergency services.
Okay.
So
faster response times. It will be its own entity instead of it being separate. Correct.
Correct. The ESD is governed by a board of 5 directors. And for a community the size of Andrews, they are appointed by the County Commissioner's Court. And that helps with the transparency and accountability. There's also state laws regarding transparency and accountability for ESDs for reporting requirements, let's say, both to the county and to the State Fire Marshal's office.
Okay. How is the ESD going to be funded?
The ESD will be funded by a tax on property within the district. That includes the county of Andrews and also includes the city of Andrews. Okay, so the maximum rate allowed by law is 10 cents per $100 of evaluation. Based on my research throughout the state of Texas, there's over 370 ESDs operating in the state of Texas, and they function on a lot lower tax rates than what the maximum is allowed by law.
Okay, and this is close to home because you're from Andrews.
My wife and I live there, yes. We've been there about 20 years.
Okay. So what if it doesn't pass?
If it doesn't pass, we still have an EMS service, okay, a great one. We still have a volunteer fire department, a great one, okay. But with the population increasing, the growth in the community, both in businesses and new homes being built, I do see a need in the future that something needs to be done to have some full-time personnel within the fire department. There are a lot of communities that are the same size of Andrews in West Texas, and they have full-time fire departments. Now, when I say full-time, it's important to understand what's being kicked around is having 4 full-time firemen at the station that when a call comes in, they can leave immediately. And the volunteer base is still needed. The volunteer firemen are still needed. That's going to be the success for an ESD. As the 4 firemen leave the station going to a call, the volunteers are responding to the station also, and they pick up any additional equipment or anything that's needed, and they respond to the scene also.
Talk more about the close-knit community in Andrews and why the ESD will be beneficial.
What I like about Andrews is the community's always had a history of coming together when people are in need to help take care of one another. And having emergency services that have reliable, dedicated funding and personnel in place that can respond as soon as the call is made, that helps the community help those who are less fortunate. 3
bullet points as to why it's important to have an ESD.
Consistent, reliable funding for emergency services in Andrews. It takes the burden away from the hospital and the city and the county. okay? Number two is it will allow a full-time manpower at the fire station ready to go at a moment's notice. That will help with response times, okay? Number three, it just helps the community, knowing that there's available emergency services at a moment's notice.
Can you talk more about the ISO ratings for Andrews?
I can touch on that a little bit. The ISO rating for Andrews is currently at a 3, and for a rural community like Andrews, that's the best we can get, okay? With all the growth going on in the businesses and the homes being built and the traffic inside and out of the community, we're concerned about keeping that 3 rating. We want it to stay the best that it can be. My concern is that if we drop down to a 4, that's going to increase insurance rates for everyone in the community. And once that happens, insurance rates go up. Well, that money leaves the community. It doesn't stay in Andrews. It leaves the community. And it would be better to keep the dollars in the community and do more for the community, and that can be done through an ESD.
So much to consider on Election Day. Thank you so much for your time, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, don't forget that Election Day is November 4th. We will be posting full interviews like this one happening in our community. You can find them on our website at newswest9.com, and they'll also be available on our YouTube channel and our streaming service, 9+, which is available on Fire Stick, Roku, and Apple TV+. Thanks for joining us. See you guys next time.